Welcome to Those Guys Sports. It's your boy Mike, and this is my Raptors. It's a weekly, it's a conversation. It's just my Raptors talk for the week. It's my Raptors weekly. Why am I? The thing is, when you're just so the opposite of gassed up, energized to talk about the Raptors, you're where most Raptor fans are, and honestly, where I'm at right now. This Raptors team, 9-14. They have a game as I'm recording this tonight against the Atlanta Hawks. Then they have another game on Friday against the Atlanta Hawks. And they're both at home. The Atlanta Hawks are also losing games just as much as the Raptors are. They're actually a team that a lot of people feel like the Raptors should trade Pascal to. But I don't know why then you would trade Pascal to Atlanta. Why would Pascal then go to Atlanta to then be like, yes, I want to join. I just left my 9-14 team to go to another 9-14 team. And all of a sudden that's gonna make them a lot better when you could just try to make your own team better. That's when it's its own stuff. My light has been moving up and down all day today. And I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with my light today. Just like the Raptors. Honestly, just like the Raptors, just going out. I may just do it like this all day. You guys may just have to take it like this. Honestly, it's depressing. The Raptors have been depressing these past week and a half, close to 2 weeks now. The things I'm going to talk about is OG, Pascal trade, all those things. But before I even continue, make sure you guys like and subscribe, comment below. Don't just like and subscribe. Make sure you comment. If you're watching, comment. Comment your displeasures on the Raptors because this is happening a lot. We're all feeling this anger, this pissed offness, this ununderstanding of what's going on, front office wise and head coach wise. We all play head coach. We all do it. We all play head coach. We all think we can do Darko's job when quite frankly we can't. Being a head coach is a hella hard. It really is. We can't do their job. We really can't do their job, but we think we can. And even being a GM, I think if a lot of you guys were GMs, this franchise would be in the sinkhole because the decisions you guys would make would be horrible. Some of y'all would have traded Scotty Barnes for Kevin Durant. Not saying that couldn't have helped Kevin Durant and the Raptors win a title. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you would have traded the young, talented Scotty Barnes, who Kevin Pelton's putting as an all-star starter, for Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant is on the not twilight of his career, but he's at the last stages of his career. And Scotty's just starting his stages. So I wouldn't think it was a good trade then at the time. But let's talk about the first thing. Something that people have been talking about a lot is, and this is what makes the Raptors whole situation so hard. I think for Raptor fans, we're finding it hard. Is where is this team headed? And one thing that everyone has kind of talked about, and what makes it a little bit harder, is the fact that the Jakob Poeltl trade puts you in a bind. You traded a first round pick, a top six protected, but you traded that pick. Now, I have the thought process in believing that if you didn't trade for Yak, you would have finished, you would start your draft pick, you would have finished wherever. You didn't make the playoffs anyway, so almost trading for Yak was borderline pointless at the time. Then everyone would be like, "Oh, you should have traded for OG." Da, da, da. I don't know. You don't trade for any of them. You get your draft pick. At least you have this year's draft pick. I think you still would have got Yak. And I could be in the minority there, but I honestly think you could have signed Jakob Poeltl. I think he was interested in Toronto, come back to Toronto from time. He was glad that San Antonio traded him here. And if you didn't get Yak, I just feel like you could have made some different changes. Now, I don't blame Yak. Yak has actually been a really good center for us throughout the whole time he's been with us. He's not someone he's not shooting threes, so you may feel disappointed in that. You may have your type of ways about Yak, and you may not close in the fourth quarter. But at the end of the day, Jakob Poeltl has been pretty consistent for the Raptors. And that's all you really needed. You needed someone to be consistent. And we really also did it because we need someone to guard Joel Embiid. And quite frankly, you realize a lot of people can't guard Joel Embiid. There's not a lot of Marcus Gasols hanging around in the league that can guard Joel Embiid. Really, it's just Al Horford that does like the best job on this guy, and Anthony Davis does an adequate job, but not a lot of people can really guard Joel Embiid as efficient as a Marcus Gasol and Um, and Al Horford did. So, but the Yak trade, it hurts you because now you have a top six protected pick. I'm going to talk about this later on. Is that you can't be a mid team. You actually have to be a good team. Being mid is not going to help for this team at all. It's not going to help. Being 500 is not going to help because you are stuck, right? Especially if you want to tank. A lot of people want to tank. Well, if you want to tank, you gotta do it today. Like you gotta trade a Pascal. You gotta trade. You don't really have to trade OG, but you gotta just trade Pascal. You gotta trade your good players so you can get some young players, some picks, and all that stuff. But you gotta do something like that. But the way your trajectory is of potentially being a mid team, if you're a mid team, you gotta let that pick go to San Antonio this year because you're so stuck. That's a top six protected pick. If you want that top six protected pick, you're going to need to tank. And there's no guarantee of that. There's no guarantee that you get a top six pick. Um, Look at the Jazz have decided to tank. What this is why dark horse candidate. I want Laurie Markkinen. I know people would be like, "How do you get another power forward?" But imagine if you can have an OG, a Markkinen, a Scotty, Pascal, and a Pirtle. That you just, I don't know. I think that could be really good for the squad. Who you trade for him? Up to discussion. Maybe a Gary Trent. He's 23. Maybe Utah would want that. Maybe you got to trade. I would trade a draft pick for Laurie Markkinen easily. He's only 26, 27. He's the most improved last year. I just believe that team with a Markkinen, it'd be sky's the limit for that team. I know Pascal hasn't shot the three well this year, but I just think if Pascal's playing in the post, good things can happen. Whatever. That's my thought process of this team. And then you have to be, if you're a defense on the other side, you gotta play everyone one on one. You can't really double. You double Pascal, he's passing out to OG, passing out to Laurie Markkinen, even to Scotty shooting darn near 40%. Like that'd be a squad. That's something that my dream. I would call Utah and be like, "Hey, what's up?" Um, but yeah, so the Jakob Poeltl trade just it keeps you stuck. You can't do nothing with it, and that's why people don't like the Yak trade. Is because it makes your draft picks and all that stuff. You're just stuck. You really can't do much this year. That's like almost as kind of like low key. This year's a wash year, kind of, because you don't have your draft pick unless you're drafting 20 to below. You don't really have a draft pick. It's really theirs, and you're not bad enough to be top six. You're not bad enough to be top 10 right now. Like, there's so much other teams that are bad. I named Utah. There's Washington. There's Houston's actually been pretty good. There's Detroit. There's San Antonio. There's actually some bad teams in this league. Charlotte's gonna probably start tanking. The Grizzlies should 1,000% start tanking. So it's just things like that. Like you're just stuck. And I think as a Raptor fan, I just think I'm like you're just stuck. The Yak trade just made you stuck. And I've read articles from Eric Kareen, from multiple people, from Michael Grange, who've just consistently talked about where you are and how stuck you are, and that's just unfortunate. Overall, this team is sad. Like this pod, sorry, will not be like an hour pod. I know somebody that do like hour pods on the Raptors. This pod won't be something like that. It's hard to discuss a team that you believe is good enough. And this will be like my next thing is that with the Raptors being good enough, I think they're actually good. I think they're a good squad. I know the record doesn't show it, but I think the reason why it's like this, and I feel like every Raptor fan is saying it, every Raptor podcast is saying it, journalists are saying it as a whole. Change your starting unit. You just have to change it. You have to change it. And what's unfortunate to me, and this is where I think it kind of sucks, if the Raptors win the next two games against Atlanta, because so Darko had said that he wants to give this team a couple more games to really, they believe that they can be better. They want to give it a couple more games before they make any changes. So if you beat Atlanta twice, do you think the starting unit's good enough? So you think if you beat Atlanta, this starting unit is still good enough? No, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. Change starting unit now. Change it now. Put Gary on. I've said it from, I have a video. Check it out. I said, starting unit, put Otto Porter. And I know this man is hurt. I know he's hurt. And I talked about it with Jamar Hines in my podcast a week ago, saying maybe he's not playing because they're fearful of his injury, but now he's hurt. But to me, you start them. Heck, I would have been okay. Allah, I know he didn't shoot it well, but I would have been okay if you had a Grady Dick start. Okay, just because it's going to keep him going, and it's something that he's going to get his reps. I think it's important. He'll get his reps. You know, Scotty started as well. Scotty didn't always have the greatest of games, but at least Scotty had started. And I think that'd be good if Grady Dick had started. And I think maybe he would have got out of the shooting funk way earlier if he was starting. But you got to start someone. Everyone's saying it's Gary Trent. I'm okay with that as well. Gary is, Gary, I wouldn't say he even bet on himself. I think Gary didn't bet on himself. I think he bet on the organization. We heard after Fred got signed to Houston that Gary's extension was on the table. That, oh, they're going to sign Gary. Well, Gary didn't sign no extension. We didn't see no extension being signed. Okay, well, Gary's averaging like 10 points a game. A guy who darn near 16, 17 points, a guy who with Pascal is like an 18 to 19 point, close to 20-point scorer. And now with a Scotty and him, the numbers have shown that when Gary and OG, Scotty and Pascal are playing together, their plus minus is higher than mid. Okay. With Yak, it's still pretty good. So to me, we can see it. One of the worst starting units in the league is the starting unit that we have currently. One of the best starting units is the one of the point guard that we lost in Fred VanVleet. Okay, so I thought Fred held hand. So the thing is, I thought the selfishness, when we talk about the selfishness, I thought that was because, Nick Nurse, Pascal, and Fred. I never thought Pascal was selfish at all, but maybe Fred was. We all felt Fred shot the ball too much. But we feel the same way about, we think the ball should be given to Scotty. Masai is saying that Scotty is the guy we're building around, and we all believe that Scotty can be the point guard and he should handle the ball more. He's with the second unit handling the ball more. Why don't we just give Scotty the ball? Like, give him the ball. Let him play the point. Now, will there be some turnovers? Yeah, because he's a little bit turnover prone. But that's where the reps come in. That's where you need him to do as much as possible being the starting point guard. And when he's starting point guard, you have him, you have Pascal, heck, you have OG, you have Gary, who can all handle the ball going down. Now, sometimes you need the point guard to calm things down. That's where Dennis comes in. Dennis could be that sixth man. He was a top 3 six man like 3-4 years ago with OKC. This is where he was at his best with a Darko. So it's weird. Darko was there when OKC was good, and Schroeder was good. David Thorpe. I was listening to the Raptor show with Will Lou and Blake Murphy and Alex Wong, and he had said that the coach is in love with the point guard. Yeah, it looks that way. It does look the fact that our coach is in love with Dennis Schroeder, because Dennis Schroeder can't do no wrong. When Dennis Schroeder's having a good game, he's still playing, and he should not. We saw in the beginning of the year, Dennis is actually playing well. Dennis hasn't even played bad. He hasn't even played bad this season. Dennis has not played bad at all. No Raptor fan can truly say this man has been bad this season. He has not. He's just taking away from opportunities from Pascal and Scotty. When there's a problem when if Pascal and Scotty are only scoring 20 points a game, when you can see them, they could potentially score 25 points a game, that's an issue. These guys impact winning. Pascal impacts winning. Scotty impacts winning. OG impacts winning. We talk about building around these three guys. I truly think we can do that. I can be one of the rare people in Raptors Nation that believe that we can build around these three people. We could do it. These three people are our core people. We can build around them. But we're too busy giving Dennis the ball. And mind you, like I just said, Dennis is not, he's not the only issue. The defense has been trash the past couple games. Just trash. But I think offensively, we can help it a little bit if Dennis played off ball more and played with the second unit more. Helped. Like, I want Dennis to be aggressive offensively when he's with a Boucher, when he's with a Grady Dick, maybe an Otto Porter. When he's with the backups, I'm okay with that. Precious, who's actually been playing a little bit better as of late, I'm better if Dennis is more aggressive with that. When I have OG, Scotty, and Pascal, I don't need no one else to score. So a team that I look at, and mind you, they're a better team. I'll say that. The Lakers. Anthony Davis has shot a lot less threes this season, which I like to see. I know Darvin Ham in the beginning wanted to shoot five. Forget that. The man scored a 40 and 20 in the in-season tournament without shooting a three because he was so dominant. Pascal is one of the best post players in the league, probably top three. Probably top three. Like you believe in guys like Jokic, guys like Embiid. I'll say Pascal's probably the best. I have to think about it. Like the thing in positions nowadays is so weird, but like generic, typical power forward. So not Jason Tatum, not like Jason Tatum's not a power forward. He's a small forward. Just the way they play, he has to play power forward. But if you play like Pascal's the best. Pascal has better movesets than Giannis and Antetokounmpo. Okay, guys, think about it. He's a better moveset. Giannis is just stronger than everybody. If Pascal had Giannis' strength, Toronto would be the third best team in the league. Okay. Same with Scotty. Scotty is getting stronger. Scotty's potentially stronger than Pascal. So these guys finish at the rim at an efficient level. The rim finishing is top 10 in the league. So the efficiency there. You have two guys averaging 5 assists a game in Pascal and Scotty Barnes. Scotty can probably darn near average 7 assists a game. Pascal can average about 6 assists a game, probably 7 assists. Because if they was kicking out to shooters, if they had a guy in Gary Trent is shooting below average, but we know in most shooters, they'll get back to their level. He's a 38 to 40% three-point shooter. OG's been shooting the ball poorly, but he's still a 40% shooter. So if they just had those two guys alone, they'll be better. Now, Yak is going to be there for the rebounds because they're a good rebounding team, plays great defense. Like this team can be much better if we change the unit to complement the three guys I mentioned. The starting unit should be the four guys in Pascal, Scotty, OG, and Pirtle. That's guaranteed. Now the fifth guy, like I said, it can be Grady Dick, it can be Otto Porter, or it can be Gary Trent. But it should not be Dennis Schroeder. We all see it. We all believe that this shouldn't happen. For some reason, I want the one thing it's like a gift and a curse, and I've said it multiple times. I like the fact that Coach Darko, is saying, you know what, we need we need to do this. Like it or not, we need to do this. We have to see what we have. And since we have to see what you have, it's not a benefit to the team because you need to see how good this player can be. But I think like if Masai keeps talking about winning, if we're all demanding winning, this is not the winning formula. We need a better winning formula. And the winning formula is giving Scotty the ball, seeing what he can do with the ball, because he's very dynamic with the ball, and let him and Pascal dictate the offense. Let OG being a 40% three-point shooter, yeah, he should always shoot 10 3 points a game. Why not? He can attack when he wants to. He can do all that. I'm giving those three guys free reign. And then with a guy like Gary Trent, who's, like I said, averaging like 10 points a game, this guy can easily give you 16 points a game. This team should be basically Pascal and Scotty both averaging 22 to 24 points a game, giving both Scotty's darting in 9 rebounds a game, but 9 rebounds for Scotty, 8 rebounds for Pascal, and both doing about 6 to 7 assists a game, with a Gary Trent giving us 18 a game, with a OG giving us 18 a game. That should be what it is. And then when your offense is stagnant, that's where you have, mind you, I think the mid-range shot from Schroeder at the beginning was good. It's getting worse now. But he was a good mid-range shooter, Gary Trent Jr. That's where you have Gary. That's where when your offense is getting stagnant, you try to give a Scotty or Pascal that open room. Give them some space and let them dictate the offense from the low post. Either Pascal's going to get fouled or he's going to pass it and kick it out. Or once again, you may go a little bit ISO. Let Pascal go ISO. Let Gary go ISO because those are your two best ISO players. Like I think the offense could be much easier if they play this way. I know that we will not have selfishness this year. Clearly, like Fred said within the podcast with Woj and a few times, there's a clear we want it to be built around Scotty and versus we want to play this type of way. I think that's where the head office and the coaching staff and Nick Nurse really disconnected. And this is where I can kind of agree with Fred and Nick Nurse. Like, we have good players now. I get Scotty won Rookie of the Year, but why are we giving this guy to our team? So I feel like they want uh, the guys like Messiah and Bobby were like, give Barnes the team, give him the team, and then Pascal and Fred will take a back seat. Where I think to like Nick and everyone else are like, well, he's not ready to be given a team. Why would we give him a team? We have an All-NBA player in Pascal, an All-Star, and both Pascal and Fred. Like Scotty will get the team eventually. Like I always said, second year was going to be Pascal's team. This year was supposed to be Barnes' emergence as his team. But if he had a Fred VanVleet and a Pascal that went like, okay, it is time to get this guy to get more reps on ball. I think that would have been a better conversation where I feel like front office wise, they kind of just said, it's Scotty and no one else. But like I said, you got to just go change starting unit. I've been a big proponent. I'm a huge proponent on this. I'm not trading Pascal. Yeah, I'm a Pascal. I like Pascal a lot. I think he's an efficient player. I think he's a good player. I've listened to this one podcast recently. I don't know why, but I am. And sometimes they love Pascal. I mean, they hate Pascal, and the way I see it, and they love Scotty Barnes. A lot of people make comment to me. Anyone who doesn't like Pascal's game, you don't like his game. You don't like the way he plays. But if you think Pascal's a bad player, like that's a you thing. Pascal is a really good player, really good. Pascal can get to the basket. His mid range is actually very good. Um, he's not a good 3 point shooter. Okay, I'll give you that. He's a horrible 3 point shooter. Then maybe he shouldn't freaking take him. Okay, maybe Pascal should not take him anymore. Maybe Pascal's best version is him not taking those shots. That's what I would like to see. Pascal not take those shots. I want him to shoot maybe 2, 3 points a game. Just got to keep the defense honest. If he's 0-2, he's 0-2. I don't care. I want him in the post. I want him to draw fouls. I want that. I want him to be on the free throw line at least 9 times. Yeah, he got 11-11 next game. Wasn't so good. But if he give you 11-11, then the man, he's like a 77% free throw shooter right now. It's not bad. If he can get that to like 80%, that is pretty like sufficient. That's pretty sufficient. If he can get 9 times, that's like 6 to 7 times he gets it in. That's not bad. 7 extra points you have. OG doesn't really get calls. Scotty, he's not getting calls, but hopefully eventually Scotty starts getting calls as well. But I'm not trading Pascal or OG. I'm building the team around the three. If I'm the front office, I'm looking at, okay, we failed. First of all, we failed Pascal. We failed Pascal. Sorry, we failed Pascal as a whole, and we're about to fail Scotty. The one thing I'll quickly chime in and say is that so you trade Pascal and potentially trade OG to get a bunch of young players to build around Scotty. Well, then Scotty's going to be the best player amongst guys who aren't good enough for what 3 years. And then when Scotty's time is up, yeah, he'll sign his first max extension. But when that 7 years up and he's looking around going like, we've been waiting for us to get a Pascal and OG, and we don't have them. And the thing that I hate, unless you call New Orleans and they give you a Herb Jones and a Trey Murphy the third, things like that, then I'm like, okay, now we're building something. But Scott is gonna need number two. Giannis needs Chris Middleton. Heck, Giannis needs Chris Middleton. I won't say the Dame part because he got Drew Holiday, but he needed Chris Middleton. Everybody needs a number two. Okay, it's all about who your number two guy is. The best version of this team is having these three guys plus Gary and Yak can stay. But when Yak comes off the bench or Yak goes to the bench, sometimes I think you can just play the three guys as your three bigs. Let Barnes play the like the five and the one at the same time. Because not only there's a lot of backup fives that can really touch these guys. But like that's what you do. There's not a Drummond coming off the backup, but like you can have Pirtle for the big guys, and then you still have Precious. If Precious can give you 34% shooting the three, you've won. Heck, 30 almost 30 or 30%, you almost won because 1 out of 3 is not bad. Okay, that's not bad in the NBA. If he's been playing good defense and shoots 1 out of 3, better than Pirtle 0. So that's how I kind of see it there. But I think you just build around the three. You build a better team around the three. You stop going for the McDaniels, and you should have went for a Kelly Oubre. Terrence Ross was retired, but why didn't you go for a Terrence Ross? Like, why didn't you not go for guys who shoot the three at a sufficient level? I think this team should just be around a bunch of 3-point shooters for the lack of 3-point shooting that we have in Pascal. And Scotty's at 40%, so I really can't talk much about Scotty. He's at 40 damn percent. Um, so as long as Scotty's shooting 40%, we're pretty good. So like those things, like we're seeing it happen. And I think the way Scotty shoots, I can still see it staying throughout his career at like a 36 to 37%, because I think it's a very fluid shot. Like the shot, the mechanics of the shot is pretty good. I even think Pascal's shot, I thought it would be better, but the mid-range shot to me is almost undeniable with Pascal. So I just think you just build around the three, you build better around the three. They need to do a better job building around the three. And I think December 15th is coming. Dennis Schroeder, I'm pretty sure he wants to be in a winning environment, and I like Dennis Schroeder, but I think he should come off your bench. He should. You didn't sign this mid-level player to not. I would love. Let's trade him for Gabe Vincent, the guy that Raptors probably wanted originally, and let Scotty just play the one. One thing I wrote for the pod is trading Pascal. Like I said, trading Pascal and OG to only try to look for them. Like I think that's counterproductive. Like for all you guys who say, I get it, you want a direction. Well, to me, the direction is winning. Like that's my direction. Go for winning. Never go for tanking. Tanking doesn't work to me at all. Tanking doesn't work. How could it work? It doesn't work. Look at the Pistons, who've had more top 10 picks than the Raptors in the past 10, oh my God, probably 15 years. They've had more top 10 picks than the Raptors. Look where they are now. Look at Washington. They had a number one pick in John Wall. Yes, he had unfortunate injuries. Beal, a number third overall pick. He did all these things happen to them, and nothing happened to them. But yeah, they beat the Raptors in 2015, I believe. Like that stuff did happen. I remember that. At the end of the day, the Raptors were still more successful. Ever since then, Raptors have been way more successful than Washington's ever been. Okay? Chocolate City has done nothing. So you have them, the Houston Rockets. They have all their top like they're good because what? They added Fred, Jeff Green, and Dylan Brooks. Add good quality players. Then this team will be much better. I'm telling you, I'm calling Utah. I will trade probably 2 damn draft picks for Lauri Markkanen. I really would. That's the guy I would want on the team. I know people think about the size and probably too much, whatever, defensive liability. But guess what? You know what someone can't do? You can't outshoot this team. You have Lauri Markkanen, the down near close to 40% 3-point shooter. You have OG 40%. You probably have to trade Gary. Like that's a much better team. If you can get, I'm looking at them right now in this picture, Olynyk and a Markkanen. I know the defense won't be great, but offensively, come on, come on. It'll be a nice squad. Um, you can't trade picks right now. Like I said, it's a lot of Dennis. Another guy that I know people have been talking about is Zach LaVine, right? So getting Zach LaVine, it's we see Chicago is doing much better without him. So it kind of like, ooh, don't want Zach LaVine. Would Zach LaVine pair well with a Scotty Barnes? Yes. Would Zach LaVine pair well with Pascal? Yes. Now you have both of them plus Zach LaVine. I do think it would be a good team. I'm not gonna lie. I think the best version. See, this is the thing. The best version of the team is a good team. You can't tell me that if they were to trade a Dennis Schroeder, a Gary Trent for, and probably a draft pick for Zach LaVine, so you still have Zach, OG, Scott, like that. Just starting unit is Zach, Barnes, Pascal, OG, and Pirtle. You can't tell me that that starting unit isn't the fourth best team in the East. You darn near can barely tell me it's not the third. It's not better than Boston because Boston has the best starting unit, second best to Denver. Okay, so no one. Then Milwaukee, when they get their shit together, is the second best team in the East, and then Philly. Okay, so you give me Philly. Okay, Philly's the only team I can potentially think about. Only potential team I can think about. Other than that, I'm not looking at anyone else. Miami is just a wild card. Miami's a wild card because they're darn near perfect in some cases. They have a point guard who doesn't want to shoot, but like is one of the best point guards in the league. Yeah, I'm talking about Kyle Lowry, and he just all he does is make he's the best organizer in the league. Him and Chris Paul, like they just make teams better. So that's not going to happen. Then you have a guy and Jimmy Butler, great player. You have Tyler Hero who can shoot the ball, a Bam, and then you have this rookie in Yami Yaquez Jr., who's freaking great. Like, and he's gonna be a contributing factor in the playoffs. So this team in Miami is just the most scariest team. I wouldn't want to face them because Jimmy Butler in the playoffs is something. But if you tell me that I can get Zach LaVine in the playoffs, who is a pretty good shooter, who who can play defense if he freaking wants to, because Team USA, he actually played pretty good defense. I would like to see all that. I just think this team with these guys is a lot better. And I think Zach LaVine can help this team be a lot better overall as a unit. So that's something that I would like to see if they were to get a Zach LaVine. If they were to get Zach LaVine, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. But I'm all for winning. Forget tanking. You people that want to tank, honestly, I would love to do like a live podcast and talk to people who want to tank, and you tell me the benefits of tanking. Because one thing with tanking, you're not watching this Raptors squad when they're trash. I'm watching this Raptors squad when they're trash. I'm going to be watching all 82 games. You guys are bandwagon fans who only joined after Kawhi was there, but I was there watching every single game, watching the Sunny Weems, watching Chris Bosh. I was there watching all that. You guys will not watch this team when they're bad. Heck, I watched every Tampa game, okay? When they were playing in Tampa, I watched every single game to get a Scotty Barnes. Like, I watched it all. This team, as much as we all like this team and hate this team needs to be good. Now, one thing Michael Grange has said, which I agree with, is that in order for a team like the Raptors to think of the future and be good, they need to have more trade assets. And I think that's what Masai's thought process is as well. We need to have more guys that people want to have. When they were at one of their heydays, they traded a Terrence Ross to get a Serge Ibaka, right? They traded DeLon Wright, DeLon Wright JV to get a Marc Gasol. They traded a DeMar to get a Kawhi. Like, you have to have assets. Heck, you traded Norman Powell, but that was from day one was a bad move. Imagine Norman Powell off your bench right now. Man, will give you 16 points a game. I always say if Norman Powell was on this team without Gary, and I like Gary, I'm just saying if they had Norman Powell, this team would be much better because you have a more efficient player. Darnier has been a better player since the trade. So I think that would have been a lot better for this team. Heck, it would have been better for Barnes, but for better for Pascal. Probably would have been better for the vibes last year. We probably would have Nick Nurse right now. I'm just saying everything's a trickle down effect because you would have had more guys from the championship time than us wanting to develop around Scotty. It just would have been a luxury to have a guy like Scotty around these three guys plus an OG. So I just think, and it just would have been much better. And your clutch unit and your crunch time five would have been a Barnes, Powell, Pascal, Fred, and OG, which you basically have shooting around. Imagine if Barnes is still shooting 4%. But that's just dream. That's just dreaming. That's just dreaming. It's too late. It's all gone. But all I'm saying is I'm not tanking. I'm not tanking. You guys can tank all you want. You can be bad all you want. I'm not tanking. I want this team to be good. But when the Raptors are good, everything is much better. I want them to be aggressive in the deadline. Simple as that. Change the starting unit and be aggressive in the deadline. That's what I could come out of this. I'm probably gonna do another podcast maybe this week. But my thing is, if they beat Atlanta, then what? Then what? You're not changing the starting unit? No changing starting unit? If you beat Atlanta, you're not changing starting unit. Beat them twice, you're not changing starting unit. If you win 3 games in a row, we're getting a pizza party then after that too, right? Like, you're not gonna do anything. And I don't like that. Make some changes. Make some changes. This team needs to make some changes. But make sure you like and subscribe. Like I said, make sure you comment. It's only good when you comment. And we'll talk more about the Raptors again. Peace.